You have a mat, you can be on a bed. And just lie down for a minute. And bring your knees in towards each other. And hands on the belly. And just make a ha sound. As you draw your belly button in towards the spine. Inhale, expand the belly into the hands. And exhale, make a ha sound. We know from physiotherapy that making these sounds helps us engage the core. So we're going to start with the ha. We're going to play with other sounds tonight as well. So just first of all, trying to draw the belly button in. Inhale. As you do that, feel the lower back go to the floor. And you might feel the pelvis tilt a little bit as the lower back lengthens. And inhale, you'll feel that back arch again as the belly expands into your hands. And exhale, drawing the belly button in towards the spine as you make that ha sound. Feel the lower back come to the floor and the pelvis tilt. Okay, we're going to take a cushion. If you have a bolster, you can use that. Some sort of thicker pillow or cushion or bolster. And we're just going to work with these pelvic tilts that we've been working with for the last few weeks. So this time, as you exhale, I want you to feel the pelvic floor drawing in and up, then the lower belly, and then the belly button. And as you do that, you're going to feel the tailbone tucking under, and you're going to lift just a little bit. And then inhale, you're tilting the pelvis the other way, so forward, as you feel the arch of the back. As you exhale, you're going to get rid of that arch of the back as you contract the pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. And you might lift off a little bit in a little tiny bridge, not very big. And then inhale. Chest expands, belly expands, and feel that back arch. Keep this going. If you have a lot of compression in your back, try to limit that back arch on the inhale. Focus more on lengthening the spine as you come down rather than tilting the pelvis the other way, forward. Now we're going to try this with a S sound, and this I learned from one of my physio friends, and it's used in physio for engaging the core. And this sound is used in medical qigong for the lungs, for lung qi, which at this time in history is very good for working with immunity of the lungs and respiration. And inhale, release. Do this in your own time. You start lifting up a little bit more each time. On the inhale, when you come down, you can do ujjayi, constricting the throat. Exhale the S sound. For clearing the lungs. Inhale, ujjayi, constricting the throat. Breathing through the nose if you can. Exhale, coming up. Moving from the pelvic floor all the way to the belly button as you come up. So just focusing on the lower back. And inhale, coming down from the chest to the lower back, to the hips, to the feet. Exhale from the feet up. Squeezing that bolster. Lifting a little higher now maybe. And inhale, coming down. Keep the upper back on the floor as you do this. So focusing just on the lower back. Inhale. And one more round in your own timing. And inhale, release. Okay, so we're going to add the upper back to this. So we're working with the whole spine. And for this next one, we're going to work with pointing and flexing the feet that we've been working on. I invite you, if you like, especially if your feet, if you know that some of your pelvic instability is related to imbalances in your feet, if you have that awareness, you can put this belt on your feet, and you can point and flex your feet while pressing the outer edge of the feet into the belt as you inhale and exhale. So I'm hoping you can see my feet okay. Now, if having your legs straight hurts your lower back because your back doesn't like to be in a straight position, and that could also translate into walking. You might find walking harder on your lower back than, say, sitting. Some of you might find sitting easier on your lower back than walking, so that can tell you something. So inhale, pointing, exhale, flexing. If you need support by adding a bit more softness to the lower back so it's not so extended, you can put a cushion under your thighs as you do this. So I'll give that as an option if your lower back does not feel good in that very extended position. So I'm going to show in the extended position, Tadaka Mudra, inhale, pointing, and we've been working on this for the legs and feet. And the legs and feet definitely translate into the hips and then into the lower back. It's one unit in many ways. Exhale, coming down and pressing out into that belt, and you can pull up on the thighs and work with the knees as well. We've got a lot of knee stuff in the class. Inhale, extending, feel that whole arch of the spine, and exhale, contracting from the pelvic floor all the way up to the chest like you're zipping up a jacket. Inhale, I want you to feel the upper back, the middle back, and the lower back sinking into the floor as much as you can, so you're not arching the back too much and you're breathing into the back body. Exhale, feel the pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. And I'm doing this so that you're breathing into both sides of the back. Inhale, upper back, middle back, lower back. Tuck the chin in if you like, and the arms come into your place. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Keep this going your own timing. Tadaka Mudra. You probably find a little harder to engage the pelvic floor with the legs extended, so just notice that. It probably was easier with them bent. But see if you can engage what we call the bandhas, Mula Bandha, from the pelvic floor to the belly button, Uddiyana Bandha from the belly button up towards the chest. Inhale from the upper back to the lower back. And the chin in, Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock, to extend through the neck. And keeping this going. This warms up the whole spine. We're going to stay in the full pose, Tadaka Mudra. If this is not comfortable, keep it moving. If you like, you can interlock the fingers and have the palms facing towards the wall behind you, or you can have the palms together if that feels better for your body. And you're going to flex the toes towards the nose and try to engage the bandhas, the locks, from the pelvic floor all the way up. Exhale, pelvic floor. Another exhale, belly button. One more exhale, stomach in and up. Hold, 1, 2, 3, inhale, release. We're going to do that again, 3-part exhale. Exhale, pelvic floor, 1, 2, pause. Belly button in, 1, 2, pause. Stomach in and out, 1, 2. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale. Keep this going your own timing. So each part of the exhale, you might do 1 second, 2 seconds, or even 3 seconds, pausing between each part, or just do one long exhale. If you have heart disease, I would be careful with doing the hold after exhale. You can do one long extended exhale, and those steps are probably okay. Just watch your heart rate and any feelings of dizziness or discomfort. It's a very strong pose for working with the bandhas, those locks, which is the core. Yogis call it bandhas, locks. And it's an energetic lock that goes through the physical system of the body to the breath and to the nadis, the energy channels, to clear them of malam or toxins. And you might be feeling some shaking doing that. Exhale, release. Please remember at any time, if the arms that I'm suggesting are not comfortable for you, please adjust them. If the legs are not comfortable for you, please adjust them by bringing them lower and closer to the core, bending everything in towards the core until you find comfort. And just resting here for a moment. Please feel free to do this with your legs bent if that feels better for your back. So this pose, Tadaka Mudra, is a little bit like doing Tadasana in a standing class mountain pose. Feel the energetics of having done that. When you're ready, we are going to bend the knees again, if they're not already bent, releasing that belt, just putting it to the side. And I invite you to take a cushion. It could be a thinner one if you prefer. I think I'm going to use my thinner one for this one. So we're going to work with Dvipadipedam bridge, and we're going to start with the hands down, which keeps the center of gravity a little lower with the lower back. We're going to do this to strengthen the back as well as the glutes, the hips, the inner thighs, the adductors. First of all, exhale, stay here. As you inhale, you're going to peel the spine off the ground. And I want you to breathe as you inhale from the stomach to the chest. And as you exhale, I want you to breathe from the chest down. So a little bit different breathing than I usually teach. This is actually the breathing that most other teachers teach, is inhaling from the chest to, from the belly to the chest. I can barely say it. But I've been experimenting with this breath, following the movement. If you really follow the movement of this pose, it feels like the spine is moving from the belly to the chest as you inhale. And as you exhale from the chest or the upper back to the lower back. Just feel that articulation of the spine. Inhale from the belly, expanding to the chest, expanding, maybe tucking the chin in at the end of the inhale. And exhale from the upper back, middle back, lower back, hips, legs, feet. If you can, inhale from the feet all the way to the head, if you can visualize that. And feel that scan in your body. And exhale from the head, neck, upper back, middle back, lower back, hips, legs, feet. We're going to keep this going, and we're going to add a breath or two at the top. If you've had enough, you can take a break at any time. On each one, adding one more breath. I have the palms down for stability, but if you like, you can tuck the shoulders underneath and lift a little higher with the palms up. Keep this going your own timing. And if it's too much, you could take a break at any time. This pose is also said to be very good for working with the lungs and the heart, expanding the chest. It's also good for working with the emotional heart, for depression, sadness. And you'll probably start to feel your glutes fire. My Iyengar yoga teacher used to come to us and touch us on our glutes like this. You can play with that to try to get them to fire. They're like, oh, what are you doing? That was always very funny. And last one, you might stay a few more breaths if you like, or if you're done, just rest. And during this last one, I invite you to interlock your fingers underneath. You could also lift up on your toes and get a little higher. You could also hold the ankles. And this is the classical poses, actually holding the ankles according to the Krishnamacharya lineage. Every lineage has its own ideas on what is classical. And when you're ready, coming out of it, and notice where you feel the effects of this strength pose. Rest. Let the heart rate come down. Might be a little tenderness in the back. So just in case there is from all that work, I'm going to get you to take your cushion or if you're working with blocks, one of the soft blocks that we use in Canada. In other parts of the world, they don't have those, but you can use one of those blocks that looks like a book. My teachers in India use books quite a bit as props. In this case, they would use a cushion about what I'm using, a thin cushion. And no higher than your lower back, the cushion. And you're going to adjust it to comfort as you bring your knees in. And the reason I'm using the cushion is to increase the rounding in the lower back, especially for those of us who have sway backs or lordosis. This can counter that effect. Some people feel compression in their hip flexors when they do this. If you're like that, you can just rest in the pose with your knees together or apart and just rest and not compress this part. We're going to do apanasana. Very powerful pose for working with the apana, the downward flow of energy. This also works with the core. The bandhas. Exhale from the pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Hold, 1, 2. Inhale. Expand from the chest to the belly. I'm going to keep your attention more on the front body as we do this one. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Hold, pulling up from the pelvic floor all the way to the stomach in. Hold those bandhas, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Inhale. The chest expands, the belly expands, and as you're doing that, you can also feel the back body expanding. Exhale, pelvic floor. Pause, lower belly. Pause, belly button in. Pause. Whole stomach in and up. Chest relax, hold, 1, 2. Again, with heart disease, it's not recommended that you do the holds after inhale or exhale, especially inhale. If you're feeling your heart rate and everything is stable, then this might be a possibility for you. Exhale, pelvic floor, but the long exhale is fine. Lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Pull everything in and up. Hold. 1, 2. One more time. Inhale, expand from the chest all the way down to the belly. Apanasana, working on Apanavayu, the rooting, grounding energy. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Chest falls and stomach coming in and up. Hold. 1, 2, release, bring the legs up, the arms up, just take a rest here. And English mantra for tonight, inhale M, exhale strong, inhale M, exhale strong. You could think of yourself as holding a yellow ball of light. Yellow is the color of the third chakra, the power center. Manipuraka is the name of the chakra. In Sanskrit, it means city of many jewels. And this area of the body, we have many organs of digestion, all in this place. It's also the seat of samana vayu, the digestive energy, like a pendulum moving back and forth, sorting through what we've given it through the stomach, sorting what we keep and what we move down to the colon and out of the system. This pose, the semi-inversion, is fantastic for helping us bring blood from our feet back to our heart, from our hands back to our heart, for the lymphatic system to encourage circulation of the lymph, circulation of the blood through the venous system. And it promotes the relaxation response through this change of blood flow, down regulating the nervous system. And you might feel a little bit of shaking through the core into the legs. And that's getting into the energetic body. When you're ready, just bend the knees into the chest and hug if this is comfortable for you. Just relaxing, decompressing the lower back. So we're going to work the lower back and then stretch it out. We're going to keep doing that throughout the class. So we're going to work a little bit more with the core. I'm going to invite you to leave this thin cushion, or if you have one of those thin, soft blocks under the lower back, especially if you have quite a bit of curve in your lower back, some sway back or lordosis. This can help counter that by helping the pelvis rotate back and the tail tucked under. You can remove it if you want to work a little harder and you don't have big issues with that part of your back, you can remove this prop. So it's just to give a little bit more safety for the lower back as we do some core work. So you're going to inhale, you're going to bring your legs up, and you're going to exhale, you're going to touch your toes down. Now you can touch them quite close to your buttocks or further away. The further away, the harder. And then on the hold after exhale, or you might still be exhaling, bring the knees towards the chest. We're going to leave our hands down so we're focusing more on the lower back. You can add the arms overhead if you like. If you want to work more with your upper back, inhale coming up and flexing the toes towards the nose. Exhale, pointing the toes and coming down to your place, either very close to your buttocks or further away. And exhale, drawing in, dragging along the floor and drawing in. You have the palms down for more stability. Keep this going your own timing. Inhale up. Exhale, touching the toes down as if you're dipping them into a lake. And continue exhaling in, or during a hold after exhale, drawing the core in from the pelvic floor all the way to the belly button and then the chest. Inhale, breathing from the chest to the belly. Exhale from the pelvic floor all the way to the chest. If you find it hard to engage the pelvic floor, just think of drawing the belly in towards the spine. And you can keep moving further and further away from the hips with the feet. And notice where you feel this. If you're getting too tired, just take a break at any time. Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. And just finishing up with your legs up, your hands up, just rest in this semi-inversion. Inhale, M, exhale, strong. You can visualize yourself holding that ball of yellow light. Third chakra, place of personal power. Sense of individual self in the world. And a healthy sense of ego rather than an inflated one. Just feeling safe and secure in the lower chakras through the pelvic floor. and the emotional chakra, the second one. And then this area allows you to be powerful without being arrogant. And when you're ready, bending the knees into the chest. So when we really feel confident, and this is the chakra of confidence, we don't have a need to put ourselves down or inflate ourselves. We can just rest in knowing who we are. And resting here, removing that pillow. Some like to angle their knees in to especially create a bit more space in the lower back between the SI joints. It helps them spread apart. Or you might feel better with just the knees over the hips. So pick your medicine. See which one feels best for you. And feel your lower back. How does it feel right now? Probably quite stimulated. Inhale M, exhale strong. And if English is not your first language, I really invite you to use words from your first language, from your mother tongue, that resonate with you more deeply. We call that the mother tongue for a reason. It has a very deep place within us, our first language. So please do that whenever I use English. And the rains sound like they're coming out there. When you're ready, you're going to flip over. And I see someone trying to get in. Hope they haven't been, oh, somebody got booted out. So, hey, Barbara. Okay, hi, Barbara. Got you back.
Thank you. I can't see you, I think, but I can see you now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Glad I caught you. I do look occasionally, make sure I haven't missed something. I'll just check my chats while I'm here, make sure everyone's okay. Okay. Kitchen noises should be gone because Walter is out. All right. Okay. All right. So I want you to flip onto your stomach. And we're going to do some work with our lower back in this way. So if you like, you could have a cushion or a folded blanket underneath your belly for this. So sometimes I just use a simple cushion like this to keep it simple. Physiotherapists, they often use pillows. So if you have a pillow available, you can use that. And it just gives a bit more support for the back. And if you look at this, it also rounds my lower back a bit. So that's an option. I'm not going to use that for myself because I prefer it without, but that might work for you. So you can use a blanket that you fold into a shape, something like this could work in quarters. So I'm going to just lie on my stomach, but you could have a blanket underneath your hips and all the way to the beginning of your ribs. So just turning your head to whatever side's comfortable. And we're just going to start with this, tucking the toes under. And if you like, putting one hand over the other. So I've got my fingers on top of each other, and then putting my third eye, my forehead on my fingers to create a little pillow. If this is not comfortable, you can use an eye pillow or a very thin prop like a face cloth underneath the third eye, or a thin blanket. So this is the beginning. This is something I learned from my Iyengar yoga teacher many years ago. I love this. The beginning of the back arch is just finding the legs and the feet. So when you inhale, I want you to extend your legs, and you could have a prop between your thighs if you find that you tend to collapse, to help you keep more even. So inhale, my knees are coming off, my thighs are coming off, my shins are off, and I'm extending through the heels. Exhale, release. And you might not be able to hear me very well with my head turned down, so I'm going to do it with my head turned this way so you can see me better. But this is a nicer way to do it, okay? So you're going to inhale with your toes tucked under and extend through the legs. And exhale, release. Inhale, extend through the legs. And exhale, release. If that's feeling easy for you, try staying a breath or two. Inhale. Exhale, stay. Inhale, stay. Exhale, release. And for this one, for the inhale, you're really going to be breathing into the front body because that's in contact with the floor. Inhale from your chest to your belly as you extend. Exhale, pelvic floor to chest. Inhale, chest to belly. Exhale, release. Keep this going. If you like adding on the number of breaths in between. So you could stay 1 to 3 breaths at the top or even more. Now when you've had enough, just release and notice where you feel that. Do you feel it more in the legs, the glutes, or maybe into the lower back? And we're going to work on one side at a time, lifting it up. So again, you can keep your heads facing center, which is better for your neck with that prop under your forehead. I'm turning my head to the side so that you can hear me properly. No, move my belt so you can see me a little better. So just doing one side at a time. So I'm going to tuck both toes underneath. I'm going to inhale, I'm going to extend up as we've been working on. My knees are off, and then I'm going to lift one leg up. Ardha Shalabhasana, exhale, release. I'm going to bend my knees, relax. My toes are still tucked under. Inhale, other side. Bringing the other leg up and extending through the opposite leg by pulling up on the knee. Exhale, release, both knees bend. Inhale, lifting one leg up, the other one is still extending, and the knee is off the ground. Exhale, release. Keep this going. Exhale. Ardha Shalabhasana. Now, if you're feeling very comfortable, you can add both legs coming up. Inhale, up with both. And this is where having the pillow underneath can be really helpful to give you a bit more height. Exhale, release. So full Shalabhasana. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. And maybe staying at the top. And breathing here. And release. And coming up through Bhujangasana, upper back. Coming up and coming back towards a child's pose. If this pose is not comfortable, you can go on your back and do a Panasana, knees to chest. Stretching the lower back. If you want to round the lower back more, if it feels better for you, you can bring the hands back, and this will round the back, the upper back. If you find you can't access the lower back without stretching through the upper back, bring the hands forward. So for those of us with tightness in the neck, shoulders, mid-back, hands forward might give you more access. You can also bring the knees apart to create more space for the belly and the hips. And you could do this with a cushion underneath the belly or a rolled blanket to draw the belly button towards the spine using a prop. So you're not sinking into the lower back. You can use a prop under the belly if you like. Okay. So we're going to just do one more for the lower back, Vimanasana. I'm not adding the upper back today. We'll do that as we move into the upper back in a couple of weeks. But Vimanasana, airplane pose, I'm going to do it just focusing on the lower back tonight. This is very good for strengthening around the SI joints and the glutes, which can help with the lower back as well as the hips, for strengthening the hips. So you're going to have your palms facing down, and you could have actually crossing your hands and your forehead on your crossed hands. So you could do that, or your palms facing down, just above your shoulders. You're gonna bring your feet apart, create a position with your legs. And you're gonna inhale, lift your legs up off the ground, and exhale, draw your legs together, your feet together. If you like, do that while flexing your toes towards your nose, keeping your head center. I'm turning mine so you can hear me better. Inhale, coming apart. You might bring your hands down a little bit. That might feel better for you. So just adjust your arms so you feel like it helps you stabilize. You could even have them down by your sides if they don't get in the way. I think it's okay that way. Depends on the length of your arms. Just focusing on the lower back. So we're not lifting the upper back, which is the full pose. We're just doing the lower back portion. Inhale, open, and exhale, coming together. It's also strengthening for the hips and legs. So the beginning of lower back strength is actually being able to engage through the legs. Get the deeper multifidus, the deeper core stability through the back working. We need to power out through the legs and the core. Inhale, opening, exhale, closing. And just finishing up. Rest. When you feel ready, coming back to your child's pose, or could be on your back with knees to chest, could be moving a panasana. The knees can be parallel, it's classical. You can have the knees apart. And this time we're just going to show having the cushion underneath. This one's not quite high enough for me. I'm going to use this thicker one. It's going to feel better for me. So whatever cushion you're using, or folded blanket, I often use a folded blanket because you can adjust the height. You want to get it so it's, for the ladies, our chest is not on top of it because that would be comfortable. And just filling in the space so our back, our lower back is supported. It's not sinking down. The cushion is blocking that sinking of the lower back. And then you want to get a little more stretch into the hips. If it's comfortable, you could bring the knees a little wider, but be careful. That's quite a stretch of the groin. And just breathing here. If your knees are bothering you, please put a folded blanket underneath. You can have folded mats underneath. And you could stay there 5 to 10 minutes in a restorative child, but we are going to come out. And back to our back. And just going to do happy baby to begin with, to decompress the back, completely support it on the floor. So a simple way to do this is just hold the thighs and draw the legs down towards the chest. If it's accessible, you could hold the ankles. And if you have a little further access, you can hold the little toe side of the foot and fan it down. You could also do this with 2 belts on the balls of the feet to make your arms a little longer. And try to draw the back down from the tail up. And breathe here. If you want to add a little movement, you could inhale. Stretch the legs long wherever you're holding. It could be just behind the thighs. No need to hold the feet or the ankles. Exhale back to the happy baby. Or just stay here. Just listen to your body, see what it asks for. Does it want to move or does it want to stay? Just notice that complete decompression of the spine as you lengthen it to the floor. So my teachers in India don't teach this pose so much, this happy baby pose, but when I last showed it to my teacher, Sridhar, he's like, oh, very good for your back. Because I have a lot of curve in my back, a lot of lordosis, so this really decompresses my spine. And with aging, unfortunately, you know, a chronic kind of sway back, well, it does lead to some problems. So stenosis, degenerative disc disease, that compression over time. So we want to be lengthening our spine. In yoga, the spine is very important, lengthening the spine physically, and then energetically, the central channel, the Sushumna, through the center of us where our spine is. Think of it like this big column of light through the center of us. We want to clean it out through our practices so that the prana, the energy, can ascend up the spine. We're going to come out of this pose, and your legs could be bent coming out. You can have a prop underneath the thighs, or if it feels comfortable, you can stretch the legs long. And as soon as you do this, you're creating a bit of a back arch. So some of my students like to have that little pillow or soft block underneath the hips when they lie down. That feels better for them. Just finding a place, or under the thighs. My back prefers that, to let the back sink into the floor. So just find if you'd like to add a prop there, or 2. You could have a line of soft blocks or a bolster, depending on what you have at home. For this class, I'm using just everyday props to show you that you don't have to have yoga props to do this work. So I wanted to make it more accessible. But if you have the typical yoga props, you can certainly use those, and they're nicely made for the purpose. And just let the back relax. Again, notice if you like to have your legs straight or you prefer to have them bent. Which one feels better for your back? Just assess that and listen. Yoga therapy is about finding what works for you. And my job is to find or suggest things that might work for you and for you to explore that. So it's not about doing one thing. It's not about doing what I'm doing. It's about finding some expression of what I'm doing that works for you today in this moment. And over time, that can change. Day to day, that can change. And I'm sure we all could move into a full Shavasana at this point. But before we do that, we're going to do one side bend, which I promised today. And this pose, I have to say, is one of my favorite ones for so many reasons. So you're going to bring your feet to one side, and I want you to bring them to whatever side feels easiest for your back. So what's the easy side? So just assess that. So I think I'm going to bring mine to the left. That's my easy side. And you can have your arms just at the sides here, stay here, or you can start moving your upper back to that same side. I have my feet crossed because it feels better for me. So my feet are to the left and I'm crossing my left foot over the right. If you have your feet to the right, it would be the opposite, the right foot over the left. Some people like to cross their feet differently or not cross them at all. So just find what works for you. I'm going to hold opposite elbows and walk my upper back towards the left, same side as my feet. And I'm feeling a stretch through my right lower back. You might feel it into your upper back. You might feel it into your hips and your IT band, the outside of your thigh. Keep both hips on the ground. So if you have one that's popping off, try to adjust your hips until it's not. And just going to your place and breathing in this restorative pose. You could make it a little more strenuous by holding the opposite wrist. It's a bit more of a stretch and less relaxation. Adjust the arms until you can rest. Now breathe, inhale. Exhale. Can you breathe into the side body, focusing also on the lung of the side that's being stretched? The lung expand and the belly expand. And then exhale all the way up from the pelvic floor of that side, all the way up. So try to breathe just into this one side of the body. So inhaling from the top down, exhaling from the bottom up of whatever side you're stretching. And you could stay here 3 to 5 minutes. We're going to be coming out. I first release the upper back and then uncross the feet, come back to the central pose, right in the center. It can be useful to put your feet on a baseboard wall so that you can find where center is for you. Tadaka Mudra, that samstiti pose, even, balanced. And then moving to the other side, your other side. And again, the side that you're on, that's the foot that you might cross. So my feet are to the right and I'm crossing my right foot over my left to keep my left hip down. Some people like crossing the other way or not crossing at all. You could also tie the ankles together with a belt, or also you could tie the thighs together with belts. So those are some options. I've also done this with people with a lot of lower back pain. Forgot to mention this, with a rolled mat or bolster underneath the legs if this is too intense for the lower back. That's another great modification. And now I'm taking my shoulders to that same side. This might be your more challenging side. And maybe it's challenging in a different place, especially if you have scoliosis. One side might be feeling it in your lower back, so your lower curve, if you've got an S curve or a compensating curve, and one is your thoracic or upper back curve. And you don't have to have full-blown scoliosis to have these slight imbalances. So notice if there's some difference there, or are you feeling it into the lower back, hip, waist, and into the leg, the IT band. And now breathing, inhale into that side of your lungs. It's being stretched, breathing into that lung. We often, if we have one side that's shorter than the other, we actually don't breathe the same way into that side that is more compressed. So if you do have one side of your back that's more compressed, really try to breathe into it. And that might seem like that's impossible, but it actually is possible to direct our attention into different parts of our body and bring more breath or more expansion of the lungs and contraction of the diaphragm by directing your attention to one side of the body at a time. Once you've found your rhythm, just breathe here deeply. Staying here 4 to 10 breaths on one side, maybe even 12. Staying 1 to 3 minutes on each side. When you feel like you've done about the same on the second side, Just releasing. Did about 2.5 minutes on each side. And just as a counter pose, we're just going to do a shavasana with a pillow underneath the legs. So that the lower back can come back to an even place. And you can stay with your hands at the side like this, or if it's comfortable, you could put your hands on your belly. And I'm going to do a chakra bija mantra. The mantras or the sounds for the 3 lower chakras from the pelvic floor to the pubic area to the belly button. Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Maniparaka, root, creativity, sexuality, and personal power, identity. You can just breathe here, listening to these 3 sounds. If you like, you could time your exhale and inhale with these 3 sounds. So I'm going to cue that in case you'd like to do that. So exhaling long, long, long. So long L sound, vam V sound as in Victor, and ram R sound. And then on the inhale, ram, vam, lam, ram, belly button, vam, pubic area, lam, pelvic floor. So I'm just going to keep that going. You can just listen as you inhale and exhale. So inhale now on your own and exhale from the bottom up. Lam, vam, ram. Inhale the opposite. Chest to belly, ram, vam, lam. I'm just going to keep this going a few more minutes. Lam, vam, ram. Inhale, ram, vam, lam. Exhale, lam, vam, ram. Last one, inhale. Ram, vam, lam. Relax. Inhale M, exhale strong. Or inhale Ram, Vam, Lam. Exhale Lam, Vam, Ram. Inhale M, exhale strong. When you feel ready, moving on to one side or just staying on your back to close and coming up to a comfortable seated position for you to close together. Or again, you can just stay on your back if that feels better for you. Just notice how you feel in your body, in your breath, in your mind. So that class activated the whole lower body, from the stomach down to the feet. You might be feeling that activation of strength yet stability. Ending with Om Shanti, hands at the heart. You can have your hands crossed or in Namaste, Anjali Mudra position. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.